Welcome to Blind Cool Tech, show number 4. It's June 8th, 2005, a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We're going to do something a little different today. We're going to take a walk with a guide dog. My guide dog, in fact, named Jake. He's a 3-year-old dog that's half lab and half golden retriever. I've had him about a year now. And we'll go ahead and we're in my office right now at APH. And I'm going to shut my computer down and tap my leg, and Jake comes. Well, if I can wake him up. Come on, little buddy. You ready to go? Y'all have a good one. Let's see, let me get it shut down properly here. Got a couple of unsaved files. Alright. So, with the guide dog, you have a leash and a harness. And when you pick up the harness, he gets ready to go to work, and you put the leash in the left hand. With the harness, you hold the harness with the left hand and then hold the leash with a couple of fingers. And we give Jake the signal to go, which is a hand signal and a command sometimes. We'll see you good fellas tomorrow.
All right, have a good one.
You too. And we're in some offices above the plant here, so we're going to walk over to the stairwell. And Jake stops at the door, points his nose toward the knob, open the stairwell door. He pauses at the steps. Good boy. Give him the signal to go forward. And he pauses at the next landing. Give him the signal, and away we go. Of course, he stops at this open door. Now, generally, good boy. We're out in the plant now. Generally, a dog will keep going straight unless you tell him otherwise. But Jake's going to take a right here. This is the way we always go. Hey! There's another dog. And they didn't really pay much attention to each other at all, which is what you want. We're walking down a big hall through the plant here now. Jake's looking around, got his tail straight in the air. And now we're in the display room. And Jake just passed somebody coming out into the main lobby here.
Well,
hey,
I'm here right now. Everybody's
what's going on? Yeah, you're heading the wrong way. Jake's. Oh, thank you. Ooh, it's warm out here. Good boy, little buddy. Forward. Jake just stopped at the top of the steps. And there's a long walkway here. And then another set of steps. And then we get out to the main street, which is Frankfurt Avenue. Good boy, little buddy. Stopped at the stairs. I give him the signal to go down. Good boy. and we take a left at the end of the sidewalk. Again, I don't have to tell Jake anything because this is the way we always go. If I had wanted to go right, I would have said his name to get his attention, like, Jake, right, and then given a hand signal to do that. And the way the hand signals work is that you, well, actually your walking position, both your arms are pretty much straight down beside you. But when you give a hand signal, you use your right hand and bend like from your elbow forward out to about a 45-degree angle so he can see it. And then if you're turning right, you put your palm towards him and motion to the right. Or if you're going left, you put your palm out, motion to the left. Or if you want to go straight, you just motion forward. Now the dog walks about a half a step in front of you. Hello. So that way, when he goes to either step up or step down, he takes the step first, and that gives you your signal. All right, we're crossing the driveway at the Kentucky School for the Blind now. You can hear the traffic out on Frankfort Avenue. The Kentucky School for the Blind and APH, American Printing House for the Blind, pretty much take up the whole block here. Both two large institutions. We're coming up to a street called Haldeman Avenue. And the light just changed. So we can go ahead and go. Coming up to the street, you hear the signal there, the good boy, buddy. He paused and I gave him the signal to go. The dog pauses and kind of looks back at you. We're across and you can hear the other signal. These are some audible signals. That's a locator beep. It actually gets louder as the ambient noise raises. And we'll be crossing Frankfort Avenue here in about 2 blocks with one of these audible signals. I'll describe it a little more to you at that time. So a dog works on praise. A lot of people might think that you reward them with food or treats, but their biggest reward is to please the owner, the handler, as they call them. Jake is actually my 5th dog. I've gotten all of mine from the Seeing Eye in Morristown, New Jersey. And he's like all 5 of them, he is an excellent one. Super good worker. And just walking along at a good little pace here. Jake looks around, got his tail straight in the air. Good boy. Paused and we're crossing a street called. Good boy. We're up on the other side. Street called Coral. It's kind of hazy today. It could be a lot hotter. The weather just got hot here this week. Just in one day. And you might be able to hear this next signal up here, the locator beep for it. This is at a street called Bel Air, and we're going to actually take a right and cross Frankfort. And Jake pulls in next to the signal. Good boy. I'm going to press the signal, and you'll hear when I press it, it's going to make a noise. I'll press it right now, so that's your indication that it took. And you probably noticed when those cars went by the
Left side, Frankfort Avenue.
Good boy, forward. Locator beep got louder. And you get verbal confirmation. That's the one on the other side of the street here. We're across. So these signals actually have an arrow, an embossed arrow on them that points to which way you're supposed to cross, and it also vibrates, which comes in handy. Well, if you're deaf-blind, it would be very handy, but also when it's noisy outside or there's a train going by, you can't hear the signal. So we're walking on the right side of Frankfurt Avenue right now, heading east. And there's little shops along Frankfurt Avenue here, restaurants and art galleries. A little pottery shop up here, catering, those kind of things. Very nice street to walk down. There's almost anything you want you can walk to in this neighborhood. This is an old neighborhood. Around the turn of the century. I'm talking about the 1900th century. And Jake walks along at a good pace. I think it might be just a little bit hot for him. There's a bar up here on the right. We're going to cross some railroad tracks here in a minute. The tracks run parallel to Frankfurt, then cross, and then run parallel on the other side. And there's a bus there stopping for the tracks. Now we're crossing them. And we're going to get off the sidewalk here a minute and let Jake do his doggy thing. We stop here every day and let him relieve himself. So we're in a neighborhood in Louisville called the Clifton neighborhood. Now when I let Jake stop, I take his harness off, and that gives him his signal that he's free to relax. I actually usually keep his harness on during the day because we get up a lot and down to go to meetings. All right, he's through. Put this harness back on, and we're back on. We'll get back on the sidewalk. Head to the right. Good boy, little buddy. And we're pauses. Good boy. Give him the signal to cross this street. It's New Old Main, I think is the name of it. And we're across. Good boy. And again, there's little shops to the left and the right. Restaurants on the left, a brass polishing shop, a pawn shop on the right, a little coffee shop. And the traffic is pretty light today. And Jake enjoys his walks to and from work. It's important to be able to walk a guide dog almost on a daily basis. It kind of keeps them tuned up, and they really enjoy it. There's got the traffic. Good boy, forward. This is a street we're crossing called Clifton Street. And we're across. Good boy. Now, at least at the Seeing Eye School, when they train these dogs, they actually pause before they get out of the street. They'll put their front feet on the curb. And then ask, wait for you to give them the confirmation to go on. But that's mainly as a precaution not to trip on the curb. And I usually train my dog just to go on, to step up on the curb and keep going. And I know, I feel them step up, so that's my signal to step up onto the curb. It takes about 3 or 4 months of intense training at the school to teach a dog to do guide work, and then, of course, we're going straight, little buddy. He wanted to turn into good boy. We're crossing the street. Rostetter is the name of it, and we're across. He wanted to turn into a place called Clifton's Pizza that we often stop at. I think he just wants to get out of this heat, probably. No, the dog will often point out places that you've been, even as few as one time. They'll make a little pause there and look toward it, kind of look back at you, and either give them the signal to go there or to continue on. So anyway, after they get through with this,
you're thinking that by relationships you can have.
After they get through with this 3 or 4 month intense training at the school, a student like me comes and trains with them for another month. At least on the first dog, it's 3 weeks on subsequent dogs. And before they go to the school, they are actually raised by a family who's has a member. Good boy, forward. We're crossing a street called Jane. And good boy, we're out of the street. Who has a member that's who has a family member that's in the 4-H club. And this is a project with the 4-H club. I need to stop and tie my shoe. Okay. And they raise them from, I think it's about 8 weeks till 12 or 14 months. I know it's hard for them to give that dog up at the end of that time, but the school brings them out another puppy to raise. And what the 4-H club member does is to socialize the dog. So they'll take them to school or work with them, teach them the basic obedience commands, and that way the dog isn't raised in a kennel and picks up bad doggy habits. Sometimes I believe these dogs actually think they're humans. They see another dog and it's like, what is that funny creature? Good boy, fella. Crossing a street named Keats. Good boy. And we're over. Right there, Jake, there's ramps on a lot of these streets, and he put his nose down there to show me that there was a curb and kind of twisted his body, and then we went up to the ramp. So he was giving me room to get up the ramp there. They have little signals like that. Every dog is different too. I had the hardest time. You take a different dog on the same route now. They'll treat situations differently. But you have to learn to follow the dog and trust the dog. So this 4-H club member also sends a puppy profile to the new prospective student, or to the school when they give it to the student. It tells about interesting things when they were growing up. Like I remember with Jake, they said he liked ice and classical music, and was real polite to another little dog that lived in the house. Alright, we're at another crossing here. I'm going to push the button. This is a street called Ewing. It's a fairly busy street. Good boy, forward. So we're crossing. And we're across, and you can hear the locator beep on the other side there. Now we're in the Crescent Hill neighborhood. A lot of cities have broken up into neighborhoods. These are both real nice old neighborhoods, sidewalks everywhere. I love it. There's a laundromat, realtor shop, a church, a funeral home here on the right. There was a Walgreens drugstore right before we crossed Ewing there on the right. Now on the left here, the tracks get closer to Frankfurt Avenue, so there's no buildings on the left until on the other side of the tracks. So there's nothing really that faces Frankfurt Avenue on the left side. So the way it works at the school, when you first get there, you fill out a survey and get medical tests and so forth to make sure you can handle the rigors of a dog. And then when you first get there, the instructors will take you for a walk and act as if they're the dog, and they'll hold the harness just to get their ideas about your pace, how hard you like the dog to pull. And you'll do that the first day and the second day. And then the third day you're there, you usually arrive on Saturday, and then, good boy, forward. We're crossing a street called Peterson. And we're across, good boy. And then Monday you get the dog. And that's always a momentous day at the Seeing Eye. You start actually walking around the house just with the dog on leash, and it takes a couple of days before they pair you up enough and get used to each other enough that you actually can use the dog while you're walking around. And I haven't been to any other school. I suspect they're similar to that. This is quite a large place too. It's dormitories on one end and a large hallway with offices on the other end. In the middle, and then a cafeteria, dining room, and a lounge at the other end of the building. Every day, when you're in training, each instructor probably has 4 to 6 students. I think they're trying to reduce the number of students per instructor, but each day you take 2 trips into town, to Morristown in this case, and you have routes that you go down. Good boy. Forward. Crossing a street called Galt. And we're across. Good boy.